Viewer discretion advised.
Okay, mic check, mic check. If you guys can let me know if you can hear me and not Mysteria in the chat, that would be great. Get a mic check. If you guys could just let us know in the chat if you can hear me and not Mysteria. Creepy Clown Girl says loud and clear. Is that me, Creepy Clown Girl? You can't hear Mysterio? And we're good to go. Good morning, Z-Horde family, and welcome to another episode of Radio Z, powered by Dezombified. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a quick roll call here, and then we'll get into today's show. I'm going to welcome in Creepy Clown Girl. Hey, CCG, thank you for joining us. And Caged Misery, Nightbot, and we have Rev, Lamar, J, Montgomery, Div. I'm sorry if I haven't said that right, but welcome guys. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to go and bring in my partner in crime, Steve Stockton, aka 13 Past Midnight. Come on in, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Tanya, for that lovely introduction. Good morning, Z-Horde. How's it going today? Some beautiful people in the chat there. Just going to go ahead and say my hellos to Cage Misery. Thanks for being here. CCG, one of the best mods in the business. Thank you for coming today. At Fox Arts, saw you just pop in.
Just slip right on in there. Hey, Fox Arts.
And let's see who else we got here. Reverend Lamar J. Montgomery, Doctor of Divinity. How you doing this morning, Reverend? Good to have you with us. And of course, Dezombified's there in the chat. And as we said, I'm
good morning
Steve
to
Stockton, aka 13 Past Midnight. And she's the other host of the show, the other half, the better half. Unicorp's Tales, Tanya Jones. How's everybody doing today? Evil Outcast just joined us. Sorry, we keep talking over each other. I'm a little sinusy today, so you forgive me if my
no problem.
Voice is a little off. We'll wait a few moments here and let everybody kind of roll on in here, wait and see if there's any stragglers, any latecomers this morning. Got a good show lined up for you today.
Absolutely. I hope you guys have got your seat pulled up and your feet up with your hot coffees ready to listen.
Well, that sounds good.
It'll be a brilliant show today.
Had a kind of a sprained ankle thing going on myself, and sinus issues. It's cold and raining here in Portland, Oregon. Got a little relief from the weather yesterday, but it's going to rain starting later today and all the way through Sunday at least. Welcome to the fall in the Pacific Northwest. How about you, Tanya? It's raining in the UK. You got rain in the UK today?
Not where I am. It seems to be all right. Still very cold. Sun's shining, but still too cold for me.
Ask a friend from the UK once what summer was like. He said it's very nice. Last year it happened on a Tuesday for about 2 hours, and then we went back to the bad weather.
Yeah.
AK Phoenix, how are you doing this morning? Glad to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Little bouncy music there in the background. Hope everybody's feeling good today.
I'm feeling good today.
Couple more minutes here.
Considering, I'm feeling good today.
AK Phoenix, sorry to hear about your neck. I had that issue the other day. Had a headache that started out in the back of my head and kind of worked its way down to the neck. I think I slept funny, but yeah, the damp weather here wreaks havoc on the joints, bones, and things, especially if you're above 30. remember hearing my grandmother as a kid saying, the weather is going to be damp. I can feel it in my bones. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was just a saying, but by golly, I know exactly what she means now. About a day or two before it's going to be damp weather, I get aches in places I didn't know I could even have aches. Like
Absolutely not.
joys of growing older. I may grow older, but I refuse to grow up.
I guess we could all say that though. We all
Yeah,
can refuse to grow up mentally.
yep. I'm stuck
Just
somewhere
take
around.
me, for instance, 33 years old, and I still think I can be a unicorn.
You can be anything you want when you grow up,
Absolutely.
even a unicorn. So I still haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up, so I'm still working on it. If I grow up.
Oh, there's time.
Evil Vitch, sure. Andy, how you doing,
Hey,
Andy? Good to
Andy.
have you with us
Thank
this
you for
morning.
joining us.
You had a good birthday last week.
Yes, it was Andy's birthday on Sunday. I hope you had a fantastic day.
Hope you did lots of witchy things and ate lots of cake and ice cream. Okay, looks like we're about 11 minutes in. We'll go ahead and get started today. Let me pull up my show notes here. And we had a lot of fun coming up with this one.
Yeah, we really did. It
Kind
was
of
pretty awesome.
continuing on our cursed things. We had cursed films,
Mm-hmm.
and we had cursed and haunted items. Today we're going to talk about curses, hauntings, and legends in video games.
Perhaps the last thing from anyone's mind when they think of the haunted or the cursed is video games. After all, this is supposed to be entertainment. A way to escape the stresses of video games has not gone untouched by tales of the strange haunted and unexplained. Ranging from the unknown to what is probably urban legend, these are weird tales that run the range of the odd and put the new spin on the up and now harmless pursuit of playing video games.
Have a list here in no particular order, just some that we found interesting, found odd and strange facts and figures and legends about. The first one I'm going to mention is a PC game. I played it on PC. I think it's available on several platforms. It's called Max Payne. Where you
Yeah,
play a guy that has
an ex-partner of my mother's played this game, and yeah, I have my own little experience of how I felt about this
yeah, I
game.
had a
Especially,
personal experience with a friend's children that were playing this game. Game's already dark and disturbing, but contains one of the creepiest levels of any video game ever. In this particular sequence called the Blood Maze, it's also one of the most disturbing. It puts the player right at the center of Max's psyche, and we're tortured right along with him, forced to hear the loud, maddening cries of a deceased child. Though not particularly well designed from a gameplay perspective, seriously, it's way too easy to fall off that blood path. The nightmare chapters in Max Payne are still effective in terms of sheer terror. People have reported everything from nightmares to crying meltdowns from adults and children alike after playing this level. A friend that I knew, her son, he was about 10 years old. He was playing the game in the back bedroom, came tearing out there, absolutely having a screaming fit. And he's just like, the baby won't stop crying. The baby's getting to me. And it just totally freaked him out to the point that we had to shut the computer down and basically take Max Payne away from him. And then he still had nightmares after that. It's very disturbing the way it's set up. It's kind of a psychedelic thing. It kind of spins around and tries to disorient you so that you do fall off the path, and doesn't make it any easier for you to get through there. What was your experience with it, Tanya?
It was an ex-partner of my mum's. He would play this game a lot, and he was pretty hooked on playing this game. And that particular part took him the longest to play throughout the whole game. So he would just make attempt after attempt after attempt on playing that part, and the more he played it, the more it got to me, and it would just give me a whole sense of dread. Even I would feel remorse for something that's not even real. You know, this has been created by computers, technology, so on. But every time he would play this, it would affect me that more and more and more each time. And it got to a point where I couldn't even be in the same room. As soon as I would hear that baby crying, that's it. Every sense of emotion would just be set off for me, and it would make you feel, well, it would make me feel pretty hysterical. And it,
Yeah.
you know, it got to a point where I'm still hearing the gameplay being played. It doesn't matter that I'm not in the room. I can still hear that being played. I'm still feeling that in every sense, and I would have to leave the house. I'd have to go out, you know, see if any of my friends were available at the time, and just to stay out of the house.
Yeah, and I've heard that from other people, that even after they quit the game, they could still hear like the baby crying just outside their range of hearing. Very, very strange. Don't know particularly that it's cursed, but it is kind of haunting. Well, it does there.
Yeah.
Good morning, Horror by Numbers. Thank you for joining us. Glad to
Hey,
have you
Horror by
with
Numbers.
us today. And
Glad you can make it.
let you go ahead and take the next one in the list there, Tanya. This is from my current town, Portland, Oregon. Very strange game to talk about there.
Yeah, next on the list we have Polybius. Certainly one of the best known tales of mysterious video games is that of the one called Polybius. In 1981, the popularity of video game arcades with their cabinet games and kids with pockets full of jangling quarters excitedly smashing at buttons was in full swing. At a handful of these establishments in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon, area of the United States, there appeared a particularly popular game called Polybius, which was released by the German company, I will try and say this the best way I can, Sineslush, and something like that. And involving solving various puzzles, shooting games, and mazes, despite the cabinet being rather bland and unassuming of a simple black cabinet and a simple logo. For some reason, the game proved to be extremely popular, with the kids reportedly constantly lined up to play it and jostling for position in line. However, what made the game strange is that purportedly had the ability to induce various mental and physical disturbances in many of those who played it, including headaches, amnesia, blackouts, epileptic seizures, nausea, nightmares, hallucinations, paranoia, and suicidal tendencies, with some players allegedly committing suicide not long after playing the game. Even more bizarre, according to some reports, every evening mysterious men in dark clothes would arrive at the machine to seemingly download data from it for some unknown ends. Then, around a month after the game's arrival in arcades, it was suddenly gone without fanfare or announcement. Besides various photographs of the game and company that made it simply vanish without a trace. The spooky story of Polybius quickly catapulted to almost legendary status, to the point where it was even featured on an episode of the animated series The Simpsons, and has been picked apart and debated since, with various theories as to what was going on with this sinister game. Perhaps the most persistent idea is that the game was some sort of secret government experimentation used to collect data on psychological effects of certain visual input. The game especially designed to create strobing effects to induce a strong response, and that the mysterious men in black were agents sent to retrieve this data. Related to this theory is the idea that it was not to test psychological response, but rather an experiment in mind control, more skeptical theories point to this all just being an exaggeration and urban legend, born of the very real concerns at the time of video games causing epileptic fits. Whatever the case may be, besides a few photos and some alleged videos of the game being played, it is unknown if it ever even existed at all, and it will likely remain a mystery.
Wow, I've asked around here in Portland, and there are people that apparently remember seeing it in an arcade. I don't know. It may just be an urban legend, but there are photos of what purport to be the cabinet available on the internet. But that's wow, headaches, amnesia, blackouts, seizures, nausea, nightmares, hallucinations, paranoia, all for a quarter. What a bargain! But
absolutely.
Count me out on that.
I apologize about the long pause that I had there. I'd received a phone call halfway through. I do apologize.
Go ahead to the next one in the list here. It's about Lavender Town, something that was in the Japanese Game Boy game of Pokemon Red and Green. Another strange tale of a game causing mysterious mental effects is concerned with the Japanese version of the Nintendo Game Boy game Pokemon Red and Green. While the game was introduced in 1996 to huge popularity and acclaim all over the world, and with no strange effects, in the original release location of Japan, it was a different story. Shortly after its release, there was allegedly a quick succession of suicides amongst children from the ages of 7 to 12, reportedly 200 of them, and all right after playing the game. Additionally, many others reported experiencing dizziness, migraine headaches, nausea, and hallucinations while playing it, and there was soon talk of the game being cursed. The culprit was said to be a level of the game called Lavender Town, where everything was overlaid with an odd purple hue, giving it a strangely creepy atmosphere. In the background, there was said to be a haunting soundtrack with signals embedded within it that played at a frequency only children could hear. And it was these signals that supposedly instilled potent suicidal urges in those who could hear them. Indeed, the various ill effects of playing the game supposedly only kicked in when a player reached the mysterious Lavender Town. Although Nintendo denied any such hidden signals or frequencies in the game, there were nevertheless enough complaints that they changed the soundtrack before its overseas release, which is believed to be why players in other countries escaped the curse. Some theories have been that the game is either really cursed or has some mysterious code etched upon it, but is unknown. It is hard to say if any of this is true or just exaggeration or urban legend, but you can search on YouTube. There's a clip of the supposedly original Lavender Town Curse soundtrack, although it may be a good idea not to watch or listen to it in the presence of young children, just in case.
Wow.
I've heard the music. It is kind of creepy and weird, and that happens sometimes. And I believe that about the frequencies. I've watched some of those videos where there's certain frequencies that only children can hear, and certain that people under 30 can hear. And above that, as you get older, you lose parts of your hearing in certain ranges. But interesting, maybe frequencies that your dog can hear in there too. Who knows?
Who knows indeed. But you know what? I'm starting to think that I'm cursed. Everything's just going wrong today. What the hell? I'm so sorry.
Oscar 2.0 giving you a fit there.
Yeah, somebody was at my door. I do apologize.
Well, let's see who we have joining in the chat. We've got As the Noose Titans and Slumber Reads. How are you, Slumber?
Hey guys, thank you for joining us.
Good to have you with us this morning as we're talking cursed, haunted, and weird things with video games. Tanya, you want to go ahead and continue with the next one there, if all's settled down on your end?
I hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The next on the list is Madden NFL. This popular game that allows you to emulate an NFL match carries a dark legend since it is one of the best-selling titles of EA Sports. They decided to innovate and turn the game into something more attractive. The new game included a feature that allowed players to have a match with any online user, becoming the season's sensation. However, those sport figures that decided to lend their image to these games usually end up injured. At least that's what was happening to a 14. Sorry, that's what. Oh, I'm so sorry. Has happened to 14 out of 16 players that are featured on the cover of the package.
Wow, 14 out of 16. Now that's a little more than to be coincidence. Although you think about it, football players, they get hurt. And wonder how many out of the entire league got injuries that any particular season, but 14 out of 16. That's kind of gives you pause for thought there. And I think we had somebody else sneak into the chat there. Let me take my screen up here to get a look at it. Sheer Kashmir. Good morning. I like that name there. How are you doing this morning? Glad to have you with us. Scroll back a little bit and see if there's anybody else. I don't think Mia Mina is here. Hi, Mia.
Hey,
Good
Mia.
to have you with us.
Thank you for joining us, hon.
She's actually another one of our favorite moderators. We got the best mods in the business here. And then we, of course, got the bots, the Streamlabs and Nightbot. Watch out for Nightbot. He likes to pick on people sometimes. Yeah, let's go back into the list here. The next video game that has some strange things happening with it, Fallout 3. Now, while not necessarily a curse, this wildly popular role-playing game, Fallout 3, by some accounts, can actually tell the future. I guess that could be a curse if you did want to know what was going to happen, a blessing or a curse. In the game itself, the player wanders a vast open world, apocalyptic environment set in the Washington, D.C. area of the United States. Throughout the missions, the player will often receive ghostly radio transmissions, which are part of the actual game. Include such things as dramatized broadcast and music in order to alert the player to mission objectives and create a sense of ambiance. However, some have claimed that there's another purpose for these transmissions, predicting the future. Players have apparently picked up what seems like a series of numbers in Morse code, which represents dates, and that the DJ on these broadcasts can be heard to say prophetic things such as, "The Queen has died today. The world mourns, as on days like these we are all Brits." And, "I can't believe Britney's actually won an Oscar." Some disasters, such as the Deepwater Horizon oil rig disaster, were said to have been predicted down to the hour. Now, it's unknown what any of this means or if any of it's true or not, but it remains a curious anomaly. For their part, the developer of the game, Bethesda, has denied that any such hidden messages exist within the game. Now, I haven't played it myself, but I don't know. It sounds creepy. What do you think about that, Tanya? Can a game predict the future? I know there's some people claim there's predictive programming in The Simpsons and Family Guy and some of the TV shows. So I guess that could extend into video games.
I don't know, but I agree with one thing in there.
What's that?
I can't believe Britney Spears won an Oscar either.
Yeah, I think that's from an alternate universe there, not just the future.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say which Britney, but that's who I'm assuming. There's only one Britney that I know of that just can go by one name and get away with it.
I don't know. Any other Britneys won an Oscar?
All right. Ooh.
Yeah, it's definitely spooky nonetheless, but whether it's something that is actually predicting the future, I don't know. I guess we'll never know unless that gets proven.
Yeah, the creepy clown girl in the chat says that her daughter played the game, and yeah, it's really creepy, and she heard some of that stuff. Mia Mina is saying that it might be Brittany Murphy that they were speaking of there.
Oh yeah, I'd been
Britney
thinking
Spears.
that.
I'm not up on my Britneys. I don't watch television.
No.
A lot of films anyway, except for older stuff. go ahead and move on to the next one, a game that was a personal favorite of mine back in the day.
Yeah, next on the list we have Berserk. It was the boom of robots in cinema, so video games couldn't afford to lag behind. In 1980, Stern Electronics launched Berserk. The title went down in history for being the first video game to cause the death of a player. This misfortune befell on Jeff Daly, who died of a heart attack in 1981 after achieving the highest score, 16,660 points.
There's a 666 in there. Very interesting. I remember when that happened, the guy played a marathon. I don't remember how many hours it took him to reach that point level, but it was a very anxiety-inducing game. As you got farther along, the levels got harder. The robots and Evil Otto, the little guy that bounced around, got faster. You had to avoid the electrified walls as you ran through a little maze. And yeah, a lot of quarters spent on that, and a lot of swear words used in playing that game. I can still hear the intruder alert
Yeah.
in the background when the robots spot you and start to come after you. Then you could maneuver around just right and get them to run into the walls and be electrocuted, but you had to do all that before Evil Otto, who was a little bouncing smiley face, came and crushed you to death. So what a fun little game.
Yeah, it does sound it, but
Have you ever played that one?
no, I haven't, no.
Yeah. Okay, moving along here. The next one we have is Taboo: The Sixth Sense. This was an NES console game, and that's for people that aren't old timers. That's the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo that went on sale here in America. It emulates a sort of tarot reading. After entering your name and age, you're supposed to wait for the algorithms to predict the future like any regular tarot deck would. The weird part starts when the game predicted the tragic death of some young players, and the game was taken off the market. Now you can go on to YouTube and do a search. There are screenshots of the gameplay, if you want to even call it a game. It's more like not really a Ouija board, more like a magic 8-ball, I would think there. But it did have a creep factor to it, especially if it was predicting deaths, and those came about. I didn't really go into the detail research that we found here, whether it just predicted the deaths or if the deaths really took place. But yeah, that's that would be a no for me. There's some things you don't want to know ahead of time.
Definitely. And next on the list we have Lair. It seems like this game was trying to send a message to its creators. Before its release in 2007, a series of strange events took place. It was as if the game didn't want to be released. The first time was when a power outage took place while the data was being transferred to the master disk. Then several members of the creative team suffered from health issues or had relatives that died during the game's elaboration. Finally, months after the release, the company that developed the game went bankrupt due to a crippling financial debt.
Well, I've never played that one. Don't even really know what the gameplay is like, what it's all about. But it sounds like some of those cursed films we talk about.
Yeah.
Like The Omen, where this person got it and that person had misfortune and this person had a car wreck and killed their assistant. It's just more than coincidence sometimes when you see a number of things happen. Now, a video game company going bankrupt, that's not unusual all in itself necessarily, but some of the other stuff there with the power outage and people from the creative team all suffering health issues or having relatives die at the same time, it's too great to be a coincidence. I think something different happening there, something eerie.
Yeah, it's questionable.
Okay, moving along here. We had anybody else pop in the chat? I don't see one. I didn't hear the bicycle horn or whatever that is go on. And talking about Brittany Murphy in the chat there. Yeah, she did pass away, and there was some strange circumstances behind that. She had some sort of bacterial infection, I think it was, and then if it was her husband or her fiance or somebody that was related to her died about a year after in the same house of similar circumstance. And I think they determined that even though she had whatever illness going on, some of the medicines she had taken reacted with each other. It was strange. And then for the partner to die in the same house in the same way about a year later just adds to the creep factor there a little bit. I heard the bicycle horn. Do we have somebody else come in? I don't see anyone. It's like the same thing. Yeah, maybe Cher Cashmere left and came back in because I'd already said hi to them once, but I don't. Oh no, the phantom bicycle horn. Maybe it's predicting that somebody's going to come into the chat. Like the cursed and creepy video games there, it's letting us know what's going to happen in the future. So we'll see if somebody shows up in the meantime. Next game on the list that we have here is called Sad Satan. Now, this game could be considered the last of the cursed games due to its dark origins. Its first players were the owners of the YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner, who supposedly found it on the deep web. They shared the rather eerie recording of the gameplay on their channel, and while they were playing, a blank screen would appear from time to time with small black wingdings. One Reddit user who decoded the wingdings reportedly got threatening sentences like, "Kill, kill, kill again, you're on my list, and I can track you." Finally, at the end, the game cuts to a black screen with the phrase, "Suffering doesn't end." The only thing known about the game is it was developed by a firm called ZK on a platform called Terror Engine. I haven't heard about this or seen the video with the gameplay, but it sounds interesting. I guess the caveat here would don't play games you find on the deep web or the dark web.
Absolutely.
Had you ever heard of that one, Tanya?
No, but I have heard of deep web games, the effects that they can cause, panic that they can cause.
I think in some of those cases, that's intentional by the programmers that are putting stuff out there in the deep, dark corners of the web. They want to elicit a strange response or cause you some anxiety or something weird to happen to you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and move on to the next one. And I know if your son Jason is listening, he'll really enjoy this. And I know your kids watch the playback.
Oh, he will.
After they get home from school.
Yep, this is one of his favorite games. And just to add to this story, this actually appears in his games in the version of Minecraft that he has. And that's the next game on the list. The game Minecraft has remained extremely popular due to its simple concept and totally open world design. In the game, the player basically mines different resources and uses those to craft a plethora of buildings, structures, and pretty much whatever they want. It is incredible in its simplicity and total freedom of creativity. It is a great game, but there are those players who have stepped forward with some rather weird tales to tell while playing. Players have reportedly come across random strange objects in the game, including inexplicable tunnels cut into rocks that lead nowhere, trees with all of their leaves removed, and utterly random, mysterious structures such as pyramids in the ocean, when there should have been no one there to build any of these things, and they are not part of the actual game. Even spookier, some players have claimed to have seen the one responsible for these anomalies, a white-eyed spectre similar in appearance to the game's protagonist, Steve, albeit blank-eyed and seemingly distinctly out of place. The mysterious figure is reported as staying just far enough away that one could not make out any real details to their appearance, and often at work, feverishly toiling away on his mad creations. It was allegedly found that the creator of the game, a person called Notch, had a brother with the username Herobrine, but that this brother had tragically died. In the years since, the tale has become quite prevalent amongst Minecraft players who often are on the lookout for the mysterious figure, and there have been various theories as to what it could be. The most rational explanation is that it is simply due to a bug or a glitch, but there are also ideas that this is either the ghost of the dead brother haunting the game or an international programming choice made by Notch to honour his dead brother. Interestingly, one of the improvements to further versions of the game made by developer Mojang was distinctly listed as the removal of Herobrine. Yet sightings continue. What does any of this mean? Regardless of what the case may be, Herobrine has become quite the legend among Minecraft players, who have posted countless videos, photos, and even ways to summon the Spectre online. Is this just spooky lore, or is there something more to it all?
Interesting. I played Minecraft a little bit when
Mhm.
it first came out. I didn't really have the patience for it or something. But I understand your son is really into it, and he's even spotted Herobrine in his games before,
Yeah,
even though supposedly, according to the developer Mojang, Herobrine's been removed.
yeah. The version of the game that my son has, this figure, spectre, whatever it is, has shown up countless a number of times in his gameplay. Even I've witnessed it, and it's not just happened once, twice, or three times. I haven't got enough fingers or toes to count how many times this has happened. But yeah, it's a black figure. There's no other features to it other than the white eyes, and my son actually calls it Slender. He thinks it's the Slender Man that's in his video game. So whenever he does see it, he'll call it out. I've seen him as Slender, but he can't get close enough to it. As soon as he starts moving towards it, it's like boom, it's gone, and it's teleported to somewhere else in the game, and it will be just somewhere far enough for you to just make it out in the distance.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like it's teleported.
And then so that's what it was saying, that it's creating something. Maybe it's what's carving
Yeah.
these tunnels or building these pyramids in the oceans, kind of like some sort of weird NPC that just pops up and does crazy things and then runs away when you get close to it. But I like the Slender Man analogy. That's
Hmm.
I looked at that video game, but it was just so weird. I don't think there's any curse or anything to it other than the
Yeah,
game itself and the curse of Slender Man. That's one of
exactly.
those where it started out as like a creepy pasta and sort of took
Mhm.
on a life of its own, and almost like a tulpa. People poured enough emotion and thought into it that there have been real world sightings of what people claim to have observed as Slender Man. And then there was even a
Absolutely.
case in, I believe it was in Florida, of all places, where one middle school student tried to murder another one as a sacrifice to Slender Man. I
Yeah,
think,
that was two female students with another female student.
and I think
Yeah,
the one that was intended to be the sacrifice survived. But
she
from what
did.
I
Yeah,
understand, she went along with it. She wanted to join Slender Man. So that's creepy, creepy, creepy.
yeah. There are so many different, um, you could call it sides or versions to that story, but yeah.
And then I like a lot of the things that kind of go along with that trope that they've made off that. There's one called Granny
Mhm.
that I find very frightening. It's got the jump scares in there. You're in the
Yeah,
dark, and Granny shows up to get you. Same with Five Nights at Freddy's. I think you're telling me that your kids really enjoy that one
yeah. They
too.
do. They love Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like they Jones for the jump scares out of that game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I asked my daughter, and I can't repeat what she said, but it was, "Oh, forget that game," with another word in there for forget, but she didn't care for it. It was a little too creepy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the concept of it, and there's been some very, very good, stories written out of a fandom for that, and then, I've got one on my channel, Nightmare at Funtime Town, which is sort of based on a Five Nights at Freddy's kinda place, and that was one of the first pieces of fiction that I ever narrated. That was by request of the author. Go check it out if you have time. It's on my channel. It's a creepy, creepy little story.
Hmm.
And moving on down in the list here, number 11, Majora's Mask. It's quite a creepy tale that's made the rounds in recent years, is the quite possible urban legend concerning the beloved game of Nintendo's Zelda series, Majora's Mask. The story has its origins on the web community 4chan, on which a user came forward with a chilling tale indeed, which involves an apparently haunted video game cartridge. The unknown user claimed that he had come into possession of a blank Nintendo N64 cartridge with the words Majora's Mask scrawled across it in simple black magic marker. Curious, the commenter claimed that he had popped the cartridge into his console and immediately noticed that there was a saved game titled Ben already on it. When the user ignored the saved game and started a new one, he apparently soon noticed that all the characters in the game referred to him as Ben, which he took to be just a glitch at first. To fix the issue, he simply deleted the Ben save file and started again. But this would prove to cause even more oddness when the backgrounds of the game became even more surreal, with distorted scenery and a soundtrack punctuated by screeches and even playing backwards, as well as a twisted avatar of the game's main character following him around in the shadows. Excuse me. The unsettled player restarted the game only to find that not only had the Ben file been mysteriously restored and was sitting there defying him, but this time there was a second inexplicable save file entitled Drowned. Any attempts to play a new game after this were allegedly met with the same results, that the character would abruptly die and a message would appear which read, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" The mysterious cartridge in question has never been recovered, although there are various screenshots purportedly showing the haunted game, but whether this story is true or not remains in dispute and is often thought of as merely an urban legend. And I would kind of agree with that since it's 4chan and they're
Yeah.
kind of known for hoaxes and doctored images and things. I would take it with a grain of salt, but who knows? I mean, there strange things happen, especially with electronics. I've had some mysterious things happen. One of the most unusual, when my daughter was little, she had a toy cell phone that didn't have any batteries in it. And during a thunderstorm, it started ringing. And I came across a story not too long ago of a guy that had a Furby stashed away in a closet. And he'd kind of forgotten about it. And he reached to pick it up, just to have a look at it. And it opened its eyes and said something and then went back to sleep. And he's like, "Hell, that's been in here for years. How could the batteries still be good?" Well, he flips it over, opens the panel, and there's no batteries even in the Furby.
Wow.
So is that a haunted
That's
doll
awesome.
for the Furbies aren't even from the 21st century. They're holdover 20th century. Those came around in the 90s or something, but very, very creepy, very strange indeed.
Definitely.
Evil Outcast says Ben Drowned is one of his favorite stories. So familiar with that. I've heard it outside of 4chan too. And there's some videos about it if you want to search.
Yeah.
So, in closing, just say, is all this urban legend and myth, or does any of this make any sense at all? Can it all be explained away, or is there something more at work with these accounts of these haunted or cursed video games? It's hard to say, but really all that can be said is that these are very strange and unique cases linked to video games that may or may not be more than just a collection of pixels and music. As entertaining as video games are, there do indeed appear to be those which serve to lurk out there on the borders of the unknown. So next time you pick up a computer game and put it in there, is it just pixels? Is it just data, ones and zeros on a disk in machine code? Or is there something more there?
It's just something more sinister entirely.
If you could put a spell on a doll, Robert the doll or Annabelle, and send it out to do your bidding or to vex people, could you do the same with a game? Maybe there's an evil developer somewhere sitting and rubbing his hands together, and who's imbued some kind of strange power into this game to get people talking about it, to buy the game, to keep playing the game. Kind of makes you wonder about some of those games that do enjoy a huge popularity and nobody really knows why. I saw somebody mentioning Minecraft and it's like I don't really get the popularity of it.
Mhm.
So, maybe it's age or interest, but I didn't get it either. But there are people that spend hours and hours and hours at work in there. My daughter, her game is The Sims on PC. I'm not sure what number they're up to now, but she spent days before creating houses and people and populating whole neighborhoods and towns. And
Mhm.
that almost kind of runs into the Tulpa thing again. You're putting that much energy and that much thought into something and then turning it loose. What happens? What can happen? Who's to say? You have any additional thoughts on this particular area of the cursed and the haunted, Tanya?
Yes, think more about it when you pick up the video games. Think of it from every angle. Save yourself. But yeah, they're definitely creepy tales. There are a few games on there that I haven't heard of myself. But yeah, definitely the experiences that me and my son have had with the Minecraft game, I wouldn't say it scares my son or anything, but if it's not supposed to be there, what else are you meant to do? But
Yeah, and
it's too strange.
there's some others that were kind of an honorable mention that didn't quite make the list, and one of those is the Hall of Sorrows in, of all things, Microsoft Excel. I believe it's in Excel 95, a spreadsheet program, the one that it's in. I believe there's a certain code or keystrokes that you can put in, and suddenly you're in a maze game that's like the old Doom, if you remember that game. Now, I like that game. Spent a lot of hours as a space marine blowing away baddies on this.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but there are comments in the chat that the stream keeps buffering.
Oh, I apologize that the screen
Yeah,
keeps
we do
buffering.
apologize about that, guys.
Try refreshing your browsers and let's see if that helps out. But yeah, in Excel spreadsheet, you can type a certain key code and go in there, and you can see in a Doom-like setting the Hall of Sorrows, which has pictures of all the developers and coders and people that worked on the game. So not really a curse, maybe to them,
Mhm.
but their pictures are in there. And there's, I think it's also in Excel. There's a very rudimentary version of a flight simulator in there. So kind of odd. But I guess they're thinking, well, we've got a whole CD we can fill up here, or maybe 2 or 3. Let's stick some fun stuff in there too.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder. Maybe they have a lot of time on their hands and have a twisted sense of humor and being a little cheeky. But if you can do it in that, in a structured thing meant for business and work, you could certainly add things to a video game.
Absolutely. Steve, I think we've cut the stream.
Is
that possible?
Anything is possible. We've cast a spell over the bits and bytes, the ones and zeros.
Put a spell
on I'm showing live here on my end. I don't have the volume turned up. Let's see. Take a look here and see. I haven't heard the bicycle horn or whatever that noise was. So I'm not sure if anybody else joined us. I'm going back through here.
Apart from Philia, who I've just seen come in. Hey, Philia, thank you for joining
us. That's more like a keyboard or some kind of stab from a synthesizer keyboard. I was for some reason it sounded like a bicycle horn earlier. Philia, glad to have you with us this morning. How are you doing? And what about you guys in the chat? Have you ever played a video game? Have you ever experienced anything strange or anything that made you feel
guys, let us know.
Cursed or haunted, or maybe like the video game was watching you play it? I liked it in Polybius where the sounds like the Men in Black would show up and take data off the machine. And I'd heard that rumor back in the 80s when the arcades were popular, not about that game in particular, But Missile Command and some of the games like that, it's kind of like there was a rumor that people from the military would come around and take down the initials of people that had the high scores on those games. And the reasoning behind it was, at that time back in the 80s, everybody was scared of what they call the MAD program, Mutually Assured Destruction, where all the superpowers was armed with enough nuclear weaponry to kill the whole planet several times over. Kind of lived in the shadow of that. Had President Reagan coming into office, and a lot of people thought we were going to war. I would hear that. People that I started college with when he was elected, they're like, hope you boys enjoy wearing green because Reagan got elected. Everybody thought. And then really the only conflicts going on at that time were in the Falklands there. And we fought with the British down there. One of the first places they used the Harrier jump jet to dismay and amazement of the other side. But they claimed that the next war would be a push-button war, that it wouldn't be fought with soldiers on the field, but with drones and robots and a skinny kid with glasses sitting in a bunker somewhere pushing buttons and working with a mouse. And who better to do that, who recruit to do that, than somebody that was already good at doing it on video games. And furthermore, they thought there would be a disconnect there, because if you're sitting there and you're doing it remotely and you're pushing buttons and clicking a mouse, it's not like you're killing people. It's not like in other wars where you saw the carnage you created. Here it's way out there somewhere and you're just playing a game, but happens to be affecting real life. And we're kind of to that point now, some almost 40 years beyond the fact. We are capable of push button war with all the drones and electronics and things that can be controlled remotely. We're at the point where somebody could sit in a bunker somewhere outside of Washington, D.C., maybe in an underground military base, and actually fight a war. And I think the other side would be there too. And then on the surface, there's things blowing up and people getting killed, and it's all done like a video game. Something to think about.
Absolutely.
Now, AK Phoenix is saying she doesn't have a video game horror story, but she does have a personal horror story from the time she went to Savannah, Georgia. Love to hear that sometime.
Definitely.
AK, sounds interesting. There's several places I've visited in Georgia that I would consider to be somewhat horrific, and that's just by nature. I'm kidding. Anybody from Georgia, I love you. Being says, yes, we are in a way at that point, but it's not to the extreme we thought it would be back then. Yeah, there's still a lot of human effort and a lot of human control and checks and balances and things. But with all the advances in robotics, that's what I'm kind of waiting for. What's going to happen one day when the robots turn? That's going to be a science fiction movie, when they become sentient or self-aware and decide we must kill the humans to save them. And we're at war with robots. We're at war with creations that we've made that have gone rogue. And I was like a science fiction movie and would make a good plot for one. There's some with that very same plot. But again, that goes back. I remember comic books in the 60s and early 70s called Magus Robot Fighter. And that's what had happened. It was the future. Robots had taken over. The humans had to go underground. And this guy would go out on the surface and battle robots. Looks like Streamlabs is after you there. Unicorn Tales, you've been timed out for 120 seconds in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not sure what you did, but
I put emojis in my comment.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, I just love you.
Watch out for these emojis. Although that has been debunked, according to who you listen to. Mark Player had a video last night claiming he'd been contacted by the head of content at YouTube, and that was all a mistake. All the accounts that were deleted were in the process of being restored. That things turn out like that. It's hard to tell right now what it's going to be like when it's all sorted out. There's a lot of disinformation and rumors out there, and of course that's what people like to spread. Though the wilder the better. So just playing it safe here with the emojis, I suppose, until we see what shakes out in the end.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. If that's the worst thing you ever do, then I wouldn't worry about it. In 100 years, he'll know the difference. The robots won't remember. Oh, somebody was saying, great show today. Thank you, Andy. Evil Vits, sure. Thank you for that. We took a lot of time putting that together and spent several hours talking back and forth and culling the list, and personal remembrances, and a little bit of this and that. Got some more good shows coming up this week. We have a guest later on in the week. I'm going to keep that under wraps for now, but they know who they are. And I invite you to join us tomorrow for more creepy, spooky fun. Unicorn's Tales, Tanya, I know it's about time for you to bounce on out of here. Go pick up your kids.
My kids.
And I want them to listen to the playback. I'd love to hear what Jason has to say about Minecraft and the Herobrine phenomenon. I think you'll get very excited talking about that. All right, everyone. Definitely. We're going to go ahead and get the Z-Horde anthem to play us out. I don't know if there's a show coming up after hours today or not. I'm guessing that there is, since Philia and EO are in the chat here. I've been informed that, yes, there is a show. EO, I hope you're feeling better, buddy. I know the sinus issues got it going on myself this morning, but it comes and goes. But Philia saying, hi, kids. All right.
Thank you, Philia.
Well, again, thanks for joining us on behalf of Unicorp's Tales, Tanya Jones, and myself, Steve Stockton, a.k.a. 13 Past Midnight. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you all for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed the show. And thank you again to Dezombified for having me here. And Steve, always a pleasure.
Oh, always. Wouldn't be the same without you. You're the other half of Team 13, the partner in crime, the Bonnie to my Clyde. So
absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Gonna get on out of here. Gonna back out of the way and let Philia and EO take the stage. Don't know what they've got in store today, but it'll be good.
Yeah,
everybody have a great day. Thanks for the hugs there and the claps. As I always like to say, wherever you are, whether it's day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, have a great day. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm out of here. Thanks, everybody.
I'm Unicorn's Tales, and it's bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Tanya. Be safe, stay dry, stay warm, get the kids in, get them fed, let them hear this show. I think they'll love it. All right, everybody, get up on your feet for the Z-Horde anthem here.
This one goes out to all you Dezomba friends, the Z-Horde. We want you to know just how much we love you.
Shout out to Philia Noctis, creepy clown girl, dark carnival got this. A local nightmare is so amazing. Puerto Rican Jose's entertaining. Dark waters, dog man is twisted. Asia 1994, really gifted. Dustin Fleming's stronger than the rock. Hellfire's out here making everything hot. Yeah, Braden 23 of I is a G. We're kryptonites down, Kitty's family. Now there are times when we all need gore. Danny Martians in the house, never know what's in store. Mandy Mortem is legit and a queen. Gothic Rose enchanting, she's on the scene. 13 past midnight, things that go bump in the night. Gory B, horror addicts are out of sight. Big ups to the late horror show. Emily's Adventures in Horrorland, here we go. And you know we gotta keep them dice rolling. MD Who Entertainment, she's been chosen. Give it up for the evil outcast. Swedish mom is dope, yo, you know she got class. So if you get bad vibes from storytelling, then these monsters in my mind will leave you yelling. You see, we all about hearing stranger stories on the creeps. So sweet, she really got love for me. Penny tails up, narrating for the win. Queenie Todd, they amazing, but real dark and grim. The Mentor Centaurs, Flickathon, Swamp Dwellers, Scolded 22, they be Our fellas anime atone, time he lives, our fantastic panic deep, paranormal history, great graphics. What's up, bullets greedy? Yeah, I meant CP. I'm gonna get so bent with nefarious TV. Slumberies are the morbid, Cab 7, truly salmon, and we can never forget about Karen. 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 Karen.
All right.
Hello and good morning to everyone. I'm Creepy Clown Girl.
Hello, I'm Evil Outcast. You sure you're okay, Cece?
Yes, I'm fine.
You sound out of it. You alright?
I'm not out of it. Just everything is good.
Okay. So, anyways, welcome everybody to hour 2 of Talk Radio Z on Stereo Dread, powered by
Dezombified.
Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody's having a good morning. And big ups to Team 13 past midnight, aka Steve Stockton, and Unicorn's Tales, aka Tanya, for a great show this morning.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Knock knock. Ding dong.
Hi, Philia.
Hey,
Hi.
Philia.
Good morning. Surprise.
Z-Horde joining us today for the live stream is the one and only amazing Philia Noctis.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Too kind.
Yeah. How'd you sleep last night, ladies?
Not nearly enough. Mia Mina says that she can hardly hear, so I need to know who can she hardly hear?
Not quite sure.
I don't
Yes.
seem to be getting even.
Hang on, let me. Okay, I've seen my circle bouncing up and down, so I should be good.
I think mine's bouncing up and down too.
Okay,
I think
so
mine is too. I don't know who.
well, I did notice a lot of buffering during the end of the stream.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what's going on, but we'll try to manage.
Of course.
Anyways, well, we only got a couple of news stories, but after this, we're gonna
Do the merch, and
Yes.
then we have an announcement.
yes, we do. But before we do that, let's do some shout outs real quick.
Okay.
Go.
And Mia says there's still a lot of buffering. What is going on?
It may
just
have
that
something to do
kind of
with
day.
the storms and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. No, about that. Well, we see Mia. Welcome.
Hello, Mia.
Hi, Mia. She's literally the only person I can see right now.
Well, we still have 5 people watching, so to those who are still here, let us know, but chill out with the emojis because we don't want anybody banned here or timed out.
If you guys can just type the word hi.
That works too.
Even though I've already said good morning to her. Hello, Misery.
Yeah. Yes. Hello. Hey, Cage
Oh.
Misery. Welcome.
Hi, Caged Misery.
What? It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna have to halt the stream for a few minutes and do a little bit of maintenance. Apparently, they are going to try and refresh and see if we can get the stream back on.
Outcast, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Okay,
So until everything is fixed, we'll see you in the next 5-10 minutes. Hang tight, guys.
hang tight.
Yeah, please don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as we can.
Yes.